We're not ready yet. This is episode 13 of the Kona Dream Project. Now, South Africa showed us we were moving in the right direction, but it also highlighted we weren't ready for a Kona qualifying performance. So we've spent the last 3 months deconstructing exactly where Dan sits with his training, his performance, and it highlighted a lot of areas that we needed to work on. So this is all going to be about blood testing, some lab testing again, we've done in the past, yes, but it highlighted what happened in the winter, what went well, what didn't go well, to get us really in a position for a true kind of qualification. You can't leave stones unturned. There's just no room for error. And it solidified that we're going to lock in IRONMAN Japan September. So we're a month away filming this right now from IRONMAN Japan, where we are going to go for Kona qualification. The next step wasn't just to train harder and do more volume. It was actually to identify where his limiters were right now. So we're in year 2 of this. Bear in mind, year 1, we would have had similar limiters starting out, not knowing the athlete. We then progressed really well from 12.5 hours Ironman to 9:46. But now you're a different athlete, so there'll be different limiters, ceilings. It's not just he has your threshold numbers, he has the same numbers we just work towards. So that's what this is all about, and it's quite exciting because I've seen it unfold now through May, June, and July, and this is what we're going to go into today. The reality check. So we know what went well for Dan in Ironman South Africa, like a performance coming off winter. He had a great day. Of course, it wasn't his best shining. You can look back at the episode there around why there was some injuries based on some falls, etc., not from actually training, which was quite nice to see. We were losing performance, and qualifying for Kona is a completely different animal. Those of you watching this will know we need to put a strong Ironman together, and it highlighted that the consistency through winter was not there. The quality and the volume was definitely not there to elicit a really strong high-level performance in April. But we knew Dan has fitness, which is great. Once you start from scratch, you've got a long way to go to build up to where we need performance. So where was actually Dan losing his performance? So rather just looking at the finish line, the finish time, we wanted to look underneath it. So the key weaknesses, if you like, or limiters at the time, at the end of May, beginning of June, we went to the Manchester High Performance Clinic, which I've used before for some run lactate testing and VO2 max. So it was his run durability at the low end. So an Ironman's all about being super efficient. So the lowest amount of energy cost to run at, for example, and we know we have to run under 3:20, 3:15 marathon. So that comes at an energy cost. You can relate to that, the amount of work done at that pace. So his fractional utilization, his percentage of his VO2 max was not adequate enough to run a marathon in a really high-performing time, which is fine, which means we had to just slow down a little bit of his easier runs, which most triathletes struggle with. His VO2 max actually wasn't the problem, it was the percentage of that. So we needed to build that durability, so meaning the back end of an Ironman, the marathon, the back end. What breaks us down is the mechanical load, the amount of steps, the eccentric movements of 90 steps per leg per minute. That is a true sign of a very good athlete if they're still durable at 3 hours in, well, 2.5 hours into a marathon after 5 hours on a bike. So that's the key for a really good Ironman performance, we know. The second limiter was his biking volume, which is linked to his ceiling being his high end of his VO2 max. And I definitely feel his bike strength, so his leg strength to push a gear, has been a limiter in the past. It still is. The swim, so we're going through all 3. Swim was basically just his arm cadence, his stroke rate, and his swim volume wasn't pretty much high enough. So the highest area for concern was just total training volume not enough over the period of winter, and then consistency through winter. So it wasn't that there was no fitness there, it was just, could you hold enough of that executed pace, power, speed for a duration for a high performance? And that's what we're trying to really hone in on the process for this block. So back in the beginning of June, he has Dan and I sitting down, and actually he asked me some really good questions off the cuff around, so here we are now, what do I need to lock into as an athlete? So here's the interview of us back in the beginning of June.
I want to know what specific things we're going to focus on in the next 12, 14 weeks, however long. So we went into quite a lot of detail about where I want to be.
Yeah.
We've got some quite specific things to focus on. So let's go through the swim stuff first.
Cool. So what I like to do is, and I've mentioned this before, is kind of reverse engineer from potentially a race date and work backwards. But because you're in your second year of development, we now can start getting quite specific of chasing outcome performance times, which we know we need to bridge the gap to get to a qualification standard that's worthy. So if we go back 12 months, you had a breakthrough race at 9:46, you rode solid and you ran amazingly. That was that performance breakthrough in 8 months. Done a winter, done, everyone's seen episode 12. You had January, February, March to get ready for an Ironman, but your body had been through a bit of a fall, etc. So we were injured there. Now we've been training consistently through May. So as we speak, beginning of June, we're looking forward to we're in a mid-season break. So we're doing some lab testing specifically. So to answer your question around swimming, I wanted to see what we could just keep improving. One of the main things was looking at your stroke rate, which has improved drastically over the last probably 6 months in terms of it used to be very slow and labored breathing. Get that up to a sweet spot, and we've discussed kind of where that might be. Increase your swim volume consistently for at least 12 to 14 weeks. Try to get that to a certain level where I think is acceptable, around 10 Ks a week, split up 3 or 4 swims.
Yeah.
Okay.
Swim, volume, open water, faster stroke rate.
One last thing, because we've been having a left-right discrepancy, but now if you look at the physio work we did yesterday, we know that that left shoulder affected by the lat is not very strong relative to the right, so it's not being activated. It's causing an over engagement of your upper traps, which now we are aware of why the problem comes in. So we're doing pre-swim activations, and we're going to incorporate that into the strength work, which is the fourth area.
So onto the bike.
The bike.
So we did the bike lactate testing today.
We just did the first turn point. Yeah, you're absolutely right. We didn't do a full sub-threshold test on purpose because we're saving the legs. LT1.
Yeah, so we have my LT1 at around 180 to 190 watts. And we're going to bring that up. How are we going to do that?
We ideally want to bring that up to close to 210 alongside some really good equipment changes on the bike to bring your CDA, your drag down. So get Matt Bottrell to help us with the second part of that, the second fit. So ideally, we've got 12 weeks to play around to try and improve that. If we're wanting a 21 increase in LT1, we have to pick up the volume. We have to also raise your ceiling. And we spoke about your ceiling probably being around 270, 280 watts at the moment. So if we can get we need to get to about 280 watts. You were on 270 last year when we tested in February. We don't know where we are this year in February. You were at 260 watts as well, your 5-minute peak. So if we can get that up and make your LT1 closer to 75% fractional utilization, which all that means is of your VO2 max, what percentage are we using at LT1? So for the same lactates, what that we did today, what can we get your LT1 up to? And if we can get up to 210, we know that an Ironman's done around LT1. Yeah, if we can get that closer to 4 hours 50 for an Ironman, we need to increase your volume on the bike. You've got time now, and you have training age, which means we can push you up 10 plus hours. There's many age groupers that work full time that are doing 10, 12 hours of riding. They ride tremendously, but we know we don't have to focus too much on the run because it's one of your weapons in my eyes.
Yeah, so for the run, I'll be lab tested and we'll get the results from that, and that'll just inform the rest of the training, but we know I'm strong on the run anyway. So for that, we'll probably keep it as is, do some pickups. So the thing is, you can't work on everything all at once. So we want to let sleeping logs lie for a bit, in my view, of run. We always maintain, we always make sure you slowly improve. But if we're consistent 40, 50 Ks a week, you can run a low 3-hour marathon.
Of course, we can't work on the bike at the same time as working on the swim. You'll just be absolutely shattered. So if we increase your overall volume, is my thoughts, per week of the whole training plan, closer to 20 hours a week, where you were doing 12, 15 hours regularly, you're going to become the next stage athlete, which will then make you obviously better with the right intensity control.
Yeah.
So running, we're going to check the economy tomorrow in the lab test and see how good that is, whether that's going to be improved by strength training and plyometrics, which leads me on to the next question and the thoughts around strength.
Yeah, so next up is gym, and we're going to go do the assessment today with Tom.
Yeah.
I've been following Tom's plan for the last few months, and we're going to see if we can make changes, improvements to that. He's going to see my form and then take into account the results from physio as well.
Yeah.
And hope to progress that. So what do you think the biggest win I can do in the gym is?
Getting really solid strength in the legs, deadlifting and squatting. So that transfers over to the bike, and then plyometrics for the run.
Yep.
Which we are building in. We've already started. The drills and the bounding that leads to plyometrics. Yeah.
Pre-run.
Yeah.
The other thing is heat training. So we've built some heat training tolerance up in the run up to South Africa.
100%.
I'm getting quite used to the heat. Doing saunas after sessions helps build that tolerance, but also then specific heat training within bike and run sessions. So we're going to bring that back in further down the line.
Yeah. Right? I'm gonna push that out till sort of August time, because it's quite stressful. Again, you can't work on that at the same time as working on lifting your ceiling. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So for that, you have to do quite a lot of steady sessions in the heat because it's so hard. But what we will do is, because your tolerance is high, we will actually do some threshold work at the beginning, get the heat up in your core temperature, and then just maintain by dropping the power. And I'll probably do, as long as I get 5 good weeks of that, leading to the back end of the year, September, you'll be in good Ironman shape if we decide to pick a race there.
Sounds good. So if we do all this, are we going to Japan?
If we do all of this, we are going to Japan.
I'm going to edit the word Japan so no one knows.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, we'll do it.
We are game on. If you give me all,
I'll give 100%.
I'll give you as much as I can. So after all this, are we actually closer to Kona? Well, it's easy for me to sit here and go, yes, he's absolutely ready to go. You know, after all the testing, we changed the bike position, small tweaks from year one, just different bars. You can see in this, change your seat position, and we didn't do anything with crank length. And we've increased the volume. We started working on swim volume, because now you can actually execute it, and his durability. I think we're in a better position to put ourselves on the start line, which, if you look at evidence that builds confidence for the athlete, there's no guarantees. We understand Dan much better. He's probably the happiest he's been for a long time training. The markers are moving upwards, so his bike, his swim pace averages, and his run heart rate has dropped for the same effort. So that's a very good sign of durability. Ultimately, we can get to the start line. I'll be there in Japan. But testing doesn't just qualify for your Kona. Doing lots of social media stuff doesn't get you to the start line. And I guarantee executing it, guys. You know there's people who are aspiring to qualify for Kona one day, or have been there and are watching this. It's the ultimate. The goalposts keep moving. The levels are super strong. We are focusing on a very good performance. There's a long way to go. The time of the year we chose based on the April race. Then you had to, all the European races are just sold out. They're savagely hard to qualify. Plus, you need to get something that suits Dan. Yes, there's going to be heat in Japan and humidity. We're just coming out of Europe now. Summer has been really hot, so we will do a lot of indoor work through mid-August to the time he flies, with heat adaptation with a core sensor. So at some point in this journey, you've got to put yourself on the line and just go and commit. So that's what we're going to go do. And let's see how that race goes. It's a rolling course. It's a sea swim. It's not a super fast day, but it's not about speed. It's about applying it all day long, and it's a war of attrition, getting everything right on the day. Can't wait to see it unfold. See you on the next one.